Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Predaplant Yugioh deck profile for post Dual Power. When Dual Power, we actually got one new Predaplant monster, which is the one you see right here on top of the deck, which is Predaplant Spider Orchid. The first of the Pendulum Predaplant cards for us to receive in the TCG. A very interesting card, and it also made me change around the deck to basically incorporate it. It's a really good card for the Predaplant deck, and I just wanted to see just how well this deck could do with the new card added into it, and I felt an update was due for the deck as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the deck profile. So to start off, for the Predaplant monsters, I'm running 3 of the new Predaplant Spider Orchid. Scale 8 Pendulum. It's the only Pendulum we actually run in the deck, more so for the fact that the Predaplants aren't too well known for Pendulum summoning, but you can still make full use of this card in the Pendulum scale. During your main phase, if this card was activated this turn, you can target one other face-up card in the spell and trap card zone, destroy it, and you can only use the effect of Spider Orchid once per turn. So you have options to destroy other cards on the field with this card in the Pendulum Zone, and the monster effect is during the end phase, if this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can discard one plant type monster to add one level 4 or lower plant type monster from your deck to your hand, and you can only use this effect of Spider Orchid once per turn. So you also have the search power at the end phase with this card, so the fact that it resolves at the end phase, that it was normal or special summon, means you have that option for the search at the end of the turn for just more Predaplant options for your deck to go into. Some of your bigger monster options for more of your plays are Predaplant Orphis Scorpio. With this one, when it is normal or special summon, you can send one monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon one Predaplant monster from your deck except Orphis Scorpio. You can only use this effect of Orphis Scorpio once per turn. So this card also sets up for one of your main fusions of the deck, which is Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, being able to summon this card very easily to the field since its requirements are 2 dark monsters on the field. So Orphis Scorpio can special summon that other Predaplant monster for you to use, and then also if it has another effect that you can use if it was special summon most of the time, I will go for the Predaplant, which is Predaplant Darlington Tonya Cobra. With this one, if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Predaplant monster, you can add one Polymerization spell card or Fusion spell card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Darlingtonia Cobra once per duel. So I only run the one copy because of the fact that it is a once per duel card. Other than that, it does definitely dope and works very well with Orphis Scorpio, just being able to summon these 2 cards out onto the field and then also make use of that search for your fusion card. And we run other ones as well in the deck aside from Polymerization that you can search for. So plenty of different options if you need to recycle some of your fusions, but we'll get to the fusion spells we run later on in the video. I also run 3 Predaplant, a Seranciant, probably one of the best Predaplants for consistency in the deck. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and after damage calculation, if this card battled an opponent's monster, you can destroy the opponent's monster, and if this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card on the field is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can add one Predap card from your deck to your hand, except for Seranciant. You can only use the effect of Seranciant once per turn. So that Predap option gives you plenty of search options for some of our other Predaplant cards as well, including the spells. So, and being able to take care of your opponent's monsters and an easy special summon onto the field as well for defense makes it a definite 3 of in the deck. And I also run, I have 2, was debating on bumping it up to 3 just for its consistency, but 2 Clemancedoon for the moment. Monsters with a Predator counter that you use as fusion materials are treated as dark, and during your main phase you can fusion summon one dark fusion monster from your extra deck using this card on the field, and monsters from your hand or field and or monsters with a predator counter your opponent controls as fusion material. You can only use the effect of Clemancedoon once per turn. So being able to use your opponent's monsters, it's very easy to put those counters on your opponent's monsters to make use of, which is why I'm definitely considering bumping this card up to 3. If I do, I'll show what card I would take out for that option, but you just have plenty to go with this card fusion wise. Being able to use it for the cost of that fusion definitely does come in handy when you don't have the fusion card. I also run 2 Predaplant Spinodia with this one. If this card is normal or special summon, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and place 1 Preda counter on it. And if it is a level 2 or higher monster, it's level 1 as long as it has one of those counters. And after damage calculation, if this card battles a monster with equal or lower level, you can special summon 1 Predaplant monster from your deck except for Spinodia. So you have the options for the counter setup, which is a big part of a lot of the remaining monsters that we play in the deck, just to get those counters onto the field. And it's one of the ones that I like to normal summon just for its power-based attack as well, and just works very well for the setup of your counters for some of your other Predaplant monsters. And also for some of the other monsters, I run 2 Predaplant Flytrap. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and place 1 Preda counter on it. And if it's a level 2 or higher, it becomes a level 1, just like all the other monsters that give the Predator counters on the field. And at the start of damage step, when this card battles a monster with an equal or lower level, you could destroy that monster, then increase this card's level by the original level of the destroyed monster. So with Flytrap, you have the option to get over a lot of tricky monsters your opponent may have, also reducing their level. With the counters can also make use and just mess up a lot of your opponent's plays by placing them and adjusting their levels depending on what kind of play they were going to go for. I also run 2 Predaplant Banks Ogre. This is the tuner you run in the deck, one of your level 6 monsters. You can special summon this card from your hand by attributing one of your opponent's monsters with a Predator counter, and if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you place 1 counter on each face-up monster your opponent controls, and if you do, any of those monsters that are 2 or higher become level 1. So this one, aside from being the nightmare fuel that it is of a card, it just is an easy tribute to get onto the field for the special summon, taking care of one of your opponent's monsters for that tribute just by having a counter on it as well. It can get rid of some pretty pesky monsters your opponent may have also. I also run 1 Squid Drosera, sorry about that, and 1 Drosphelium Hydra. Just the one-ofs for these. They're good options just for additional Predator counters on the field. Just the one-ofs, though, they're not as consistent with some of your fusion plays or setup. They just do come in handy if I need them for their specific effects for the summoning on the field, which is why I just decided to run the one-ofs. But for additional plays, including link summoning and fusion summoning out your Starving Venom fusion, which just requires dark monsters, not dark plants, I also run 2 Caligo Claw Crow. If you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only easily special summon this card once per turn this way. It's just easy because we also run a good number of Link 2s in the deck, so being able to go into those with an easy special summon with this card on the field and some of your other cards makes it a definite spot choice for me, for sure, in the deck. And then that is it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, I run 2 Predaponics, a continuous spell. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower Predaplant monster from your hand or graveyard, but it has its effect negated even if this card leaves the field. And once per turn during your standby phase, pay 100 life or destroy this card. So you just have more special summon options from your hand with some of your other Predaplants. Just getting them onto the field can definitely help with a lot of your different plays, especially Orphis Scorpio, since it can be normal or special summoned. So 2 of this for that. Other than that, I kind of felt 3 to be a dead draw at times. And plus it is also searchable with some of your other cards. I also run 2 Preda Pruning, an equip spell. It targets a Predaplant monster in your graveyard and special summons it and equips it with this card. And when this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. You don't limit it by negating its effect or anything like that. So definitely do running. This card helps for easy special summons back from the graveyard with some of the monsters you may use for either your Link or your Fusion summon. I also run 1 Predaplast. It's a quick play spell. You reveal any number of Predap cards in your hand, then target that number of face-up monsters your opponent controls, and places 1 Predator counter on each one. And if you do, any of those monsters that are level 2 or higher become level 1, as long as it has a Predator counter. And if your Predaplant monster would be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. Now, I was debating removing some of the next card for more of this number, but this card really only adds on for the basis of your counters. It doesn't give you anything else aside from protection from the graveyard also. If I were to bump this up to, let's say, 2, I would adjust my numbers of Allure of Darkness, maybe reducing it to either 1 or 2. If I were to do that, I would maybe throw in the second Predaplast, like I said, and then also I would maybe consider Foolish Burial Goods. Just for the predator counters do come in handy, but I also like the option of basically having the protection from the graveyard for some of my other ones by banishing it. But I still like the draw power for a lure when it comes to consistently grabbing the correct Predaplants I may need. And also I run the 2 fusion recycling plants. Still like this from the last deck profile. It was very consistent, setting up cards in my graveyard that I can then summon back to the field, but then also just have the option to easily search out for polymerization, which I also run 2 of. One of your main fusion cards to go for in the deck definitely does come in handy with those fusions that you make. I also run for the 1-ofs, 1 instant fusion, 1 super polymerization, and 1 refusion. All basically refusion and instant fusion are searchable with our darling Tanya Cobra. With super polymerization definitely does help just to take care of some of my opponent's monsters, since dark can be a pretty big card on the field. So you can also, with Starving Venom, use your opponent's dark monsters if they have them, and then go into this monster. And lastly, for the spells, just the 1 Monster Reborn works well with our additional special summoning methods we have from the graveyard. And that is it for the spells. Lastly, just for the traps, I still like running the Lost Winds, just additional trap options from the field and graveyard. I don't really resort to having a big trap lineup on the field with this deck, but just having these, then the second option to recycle them from the graveyard definitely does come in handy. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra. For the fusion monsters, I run 2 Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Just being able to hit big numbers with this card, as well as have devastating destruction attacks, makes it one of my main go-to fusions for sure. I also run 1 Dragostapelia Predaplant. Once per turn, quick effect, you can target 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and place 1 predator counter on it, and if it is a level 2 or higher, it becomes 1, just like all the other counters with the deck. And you negate the activation effects of your opponent's monsters that have predator counters. A big monster too, all you need is 1 fusion monster and 1 dark monster to make it. So if you have basically gone through the effects you need of Starving Venom, you can then use Dragostapelia, or we even have some of the options with the instant fusion, since they just need a fusion monster, don't need a dark fusion monster or anything like that. I also run 1 Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon, just one of another powerhouses of the deck that you can go into. You need Predaplant monster and 1 dark monster whose original level is 8 or higher, so then that means that you have either of these 2 options to make this card as well. And then for the instant fusion, just the Mud Dragon and the Sea Monster of Theseus. Now, if you have Predaplant Chimera Rafflesia, you can replace the Mud Dragon for it. I didn't have the card, otherwise it would be in the deck as well, since it works very, very well with the Predator counter setup for Predaplants. And then for the Synchro options, I have 1 Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon and 1 Black Rose. I have Meteor Burst in the deck now just for the fact that we can summon out Spider Orchid from the Pendulum Zone, which then definitely does come in handy once it's out on the field after using the Pendulum Scale effect also. And then for the Link monsters, I run 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Wheat Witch's Apprentice, since all the monsters in the deck are dark, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Summon Sorceress, 1 Topologic Trisbana, and 1 Borolo Dragon to finish off the extra deck. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I was definitely happy to be able to update the Predaplants. I've always enjoyed doing all of the different versions of Yugioh's counterparts in deck profiles. Hopefully we receive the Speedroid support so I can do an update to that deck very soon as well. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira Twig out.